know what you're thinking by just the title of this video, that I am about to obliterate Kaiser to all hell. And if you are one of the people that think that, I want you to know you are 50% correct. I have been wanting to do a solo Kaiser video for a while. I haven't been able to get to it because, well, first, he just wasn't as relevant as he is right now since the recent chapter, or since 326. And with the U20 World Cup arc, there was other videos to be made, there was other people to talk about. But now that he's been, you know, kind of renewed a little bit, you know, we get to see him in 326, and that made me want to come back to this idea that I had to go over the rise and the fall of Michael Kaiser. Now, the rise and the fall. Now let's go back all the way to the beginning, all the way before all of this. Let's go to the starts of the Neo Eagles League, where we get introduced to Michael Kaiser, the prodigy forward, the new Gen 11 with the fastest kicking speed in the world. Kaiser, from the first game of the Neo Eagles League, was hyped up to be the one that was gonna be Noah's successor, or the one to beat Noah. And that's because of, again, he is renowned for his absurd kicking speed. We get first glance of this in the Barca game, where he just speed blitzes the entire team and is able to cut the goalkeeper's cheek, right? And that is one of our first impressions of him. And he is built up to be Isagi's big bad this arc, right? And I would say, I think we all would say that he lived up to the hype. He was a character that was demonstrating intelligence and power on the field, which compared to Isagi is something we don't really get a lot from him, right? Because Isagi compared himself to Kaiser, and yes, the field IQ part was there, but his physicals weren't like Kaiser's, where he can just do the things that Kaiser can do, and that's what separated them. And I feel like that's what made Kaiser so special as an antagonist, because this was a character that Isagi could see himself being, right? He, like, Isagi and Kaiser are parallel to be almost the exact same player, with small differences in between them that make them slightly different, like innate traits, right? And by the middle of the NEL, where we get to the Manshine and Ubers game, is where we start to see Kaiser's mental crack a little bit, right? Because he's been going through his entire soccer career since he started, conquering people and humiliating people. And he runs into this player that won't break and he won't crack. No matter what Kaiser does, he won't break and he won't crack. And this is morally demonstrated in the Manshine game, where Isagi has his breakthrough after he just like watches Kaiser playing. He has his breakthrough with Metavision, and he starts going through the field, and his awakening is causing people to really look at him and be like, oh, who's this guy? Because his entire playstyle switches and flips when he starts running 1-2s with Corona. But this is not enough. Isagi is still not on Kaiser's level, but he's reaching this level where Kaiser has to somewhat take him seriously, or he has to think about him, right? And by the end of the game, you could actually say that Isagi, in a manner like how Nagi beats Isagi and Kaiser, is able to overcome Kaiser in that one instance where he passed the ball to Yukimiya and strangles him up. And that is where I feel like we really get into Kaiser, really like Kaiser's psyche just breaking. Because again, somebody like Isagi being able to do this to him is not a natural occurrence. Kaiser does not lose. He does not lose. It's pretty clear, like, once we get like his backstory and what he's really about, losing is not a normal occurrence to him. So now moving on to the Ubers game, where again it's a little bit more equal, and this time I think it's more objective that Isagi is able to beat Kaiser, right? Now, why I'm saying this is because Isagi was able to score 2 goals when Kaiser could only score one goal. Now, mind you, yes, this goal was a super goal, but in the context of Isagi's two goals, the opening goal and the closing goal, I feel like those are more important than Kaiser's bicycle kick. Even though it was flashier, I feel like it was more important. On top of the fact that Isagi's team up with Iori definitely surpassed the whole field in itself. And Kaiser can tell, which is why he had such a crash out session after the game. And again, once this happens, this is where the fail starts to set in. That little, oh, this isn't looking good for Kaiser, right? So we went over the rise of how his introduction is one of the best introductions in the series, and how he was giving Isagi trouble. But now we are entering the fall era, where he's now starting to struggle and crumble under his own choices, because he was the one who started this beef with Isagi in the first place. And after he started his beef with Isagi, it seems like it's just progressively gotten worse for him, no matter what he's trying to do. So now, let's talk about the PXG game, where it gets to an all-time low for him. Isagi is capable of moving freely on the field. The system is less rounded around Kaiser and more around Isagi, and Isagi publicly is able to humiliate Kaiser and Ren at the same time. Now at this point, Kaiser is just at an all-time low and he's desperate, and Kaiser goes and tries to perfect his Kaiser Impact Magnus, which is the curve shot version of the Kaiser Impact, right? So he tries and do this, and he tries to do this twice, mind you, tries to do this twice, and he fails. Now, this is where it gets to the breaking point, and he finally has an awakening. He is reborn, and he's different. He realizes that he needs to shed everything to win this game and beat Isagi, right? And once he does this, this is a small rise. This is a small incline of what was happening before. So now he has this awakening, and he's able to get a goal. He doesn't directly beat Isagi, but he is able to get on the board with Isagi. And he declares to him that he will beat him by the end of the match. Now, fast forward a little bit, Ren has an awakening, and it forces Isagi and Kaiser to have to jump in together and double team Ren, because he became too much for anybody to control. So with that being said, what we now have to talk about is how the game ended. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be the most critical part of the video, because it leads into the last point that I want to talk about, and which is currently happening. But during the end point of the game, Kaiser and Isagi are both trying to get open for the ball, and Ness ends up going through an awakening and passes to Isagi, who is able to deceive Ness into thinking he's Kaiser, and scores the last goal, which sends Kaiser into a endless hole of disarray. He is in absolute distraught of what just happened. His partner, his teammate, even though he mistreated him in very many ways, and I'd say emotionally abused him, was passed the ball to Isagi to end the game off, like was the last nail in the coffin to shit on his entire record and everything he believed in. And even after his awakening, he still wasn't enough. And I feel like that was enough to send Kaiser into the shadows, where he can no longer really do anything to Isagi, right? And that takes us into the last thing I plan on talking about, which is 326. That chapter where we get a glance at Kaiser and what he is doing. Now, I want everybody to really deep kind of think into this chapter, right? Sai is on the sofa sleeping. We know Bunny looks like he just got out the shower, and Kaiser is drinking Coca-Colas and taking them down like it's nothing. Like, this looks like the illustration of a alcoholic, right? And then we get the next panels, which are Loki and Charles training, right? Now, honestly, I don't know if Bunny and Sai are training, but the fact that Kaiser is not training and he is slugging back and drinking and just like taking all of that Coca-Cola and not training is just like another thing I just want to express and talk to you guys about. That, like, I don't think that this is the same Kaiser as before. I think Isagi broke him in the Neo Egoist League. And I think he is at an all-time low, which, of course, I think I'm predicting that Ness is going to try and get him out of this all-time low. But basically what I'm talking about is that Kaiser was one of the best players in the Neo Egoist League. And though he might have finished as one of the best players in the Neo Egoist League with a good bid, I do think he is one of the most defeated players in the Neo Egoist League next to Nagi, in my personal opinion. But that's pretty much all I just wanted to go over with Kaiser in this video. Not really slander, just an analysis on his character and where he's at right now. And again, like what the video is, I'm pretty sure going to be titled "The Rise and Fall of Kaiser," how he was introduced and how he was concluded in the Neo Egoist League as the antagonist that he is. I love his character though, and I truly hope that they do Kenshiro does some great things with him. But yeah, that's pretty much all for this one. And hey guys, I appreciate the love on the past 2 videos. Please keep showing me love. I love to read your guys' comments. I would love to see some more comments too. And I would appreciate it if you guys liked, subbed up. You know, we just gonna keep growing. We just gonna keep going up from here. So I'll talk to you guys later, and peace. See you on the next one.